Use of a model. Make a representation to help you understand an idea, an object, or an event, such as how something works. Predict. Form an idea of an expected outcome based on observations or experience. Infer. Use logical reasoning to explain the events and draw conclusions based on the observations. Swati plans to conduct a small experiment. She wants to know what type of paper towel absorbs more water. Uses of process skills. For this, she requires 3 brands of paper towels and 3 beakers containing 1 liter of water. Now, immerse the paper towel in different beakers for 10 seconds. Pull the towel out of water and drain it. She measures the water left in each beaker. Note: she controls variables by making sure each beaker contains exactly same amount of water and by timing each step in her experiment exactly. Process skills. Hypothesize, make a statement about an expected outcome. Plan and conduct experiment. Identify and perform the steps necessary to test a hypothesis using appropriate tools, recording and analyzing the idea collected. Control the variables. Identify and control the factors that are affecting the outcome of an experiment so that only one variable is tested. Now, let us learn about the next scientific method, reading to learn. In order to investigate on a topic, scientists use reading, writing, and numbering in their work. They need to do research and read everything about a topic. In order to read the topic and understand it, scientists must know the meanings of science vocabulary. Let us also follow some strategies that help us to become good science readers. Following are some of the strategies that help us to become good science readers. Before reading, during reading, after reading. Click each tab to know more. Before reading. Read the main statement that helps us to know what to look for as we start reading. Imagine, I need to find out what are the parts of an ecosystem, how these ecosystems are organized. Look at the vocabulary for words. Make sure that you are able to pronounce each and every word. Look into the glossary to find the meaning of the typical words. State the definitions to yourself and place the words in the sentences to show their meaning. Read the title of the section. Imagine, I need to understand what an ecosystem is and what are the parts of an ecosystem. The title, Different Ecosystems, gives me an idea that an ecosystem may consist of both living and non-living things. During reading. From the first paragraph, find the main idea. Group of organisms interacting with each other and the environment constitute an ecosystem. In the next paragraph, find the details that support the main idea. Based on the type of environment, there can be fewer or more number of living things on the ecosystem. Plants and animals meet their basic needs in an ecosystem when the environment has more space, food, and shelter. Check your understanding of what you have read. Answer the questions at the end of the topic. If you are unable to answer the question, again read the topic and look for the answer to that particular question. After reading, finally, summarize what you have read. Think about what you have already learned about the ecosystem, types of ecosystems, and their interactions. Question yourself. What kind of system is an ecosystem? What are the interactions that occur in an ecosystem? Reading about science helps us to understand the conclusions based on our investigations. Now, let us learn about the other scientific method, writing to communicate. Writing about what you are learning helps you in getting new ideas. Generally, while doing research and investigations, scientists write about what they have learned in order to help others to understand the work they have done. If you want to write or work like a scientist, use the following writing methods to describe what you are learning. Following are the 4 different methods of writing to describe what you are learning: informative writing, narrative writing, expressive writing, persuasive writing. Click each writing tab to know more. Informative writing. The purpose of this method is to clearly and accurately inform about the topic you are learning. In this method, you may 1. Describe your observations, inferences, and conclusions. 2. Explain how to perform an experiment. Narrative writing. The purpose of this method is to describe something, tell stories or events, or give examples. This method has a beginning, middle, and an end. The details of this method describe the actions, thoughts, and feelings. This method of writing includes characters. This method of writing has a sequential order. In this method, you may write about 2 or more events. Make sure that the events are written in order. Give details about what happened. Use words like beginning, middle, and in the end. Finish the story with good ending. Expressive writing. In this method, you may write letters, poems, songs. Persuasive writing. In this method, you may write letters or describe about important issues in science. Writing letters about what you have learned helps other people to understand your thinking. Now, let us learn about the other important scientific method, measuring. Scientists take experimental measurements exactly by gathering data. They use different measuring instruments like thermometer, clocks, timers, spring scales, and balances. To measure liquids, they use beakers and containers. Using numbers. Generally, scientists use numbers in order to collect and display their data. A scientist must have important skills like understanding numbers and utilizing them to display the results of investigations. If you work like a scientist, then you must use numbers in the following ways. Interpreting data. In order to help others what they have learned, scientists usually collect, organize, display, and interpret the data about their investigations. The good way to display the data is by using tables, charts, and graphs. Using number sense. Scientists must understand about the numbers they are using for representation. Generally, they compare and order numbers. Compute with numbers shown on graph. Read the scales on thermometers. Measuring cups, beakers, and other tools. By using mathematical skills, good scientists display and interpret the data they have collected. While doing experiments or investigations in science, we need to follow some rules and regulations. They are as follows. Think ahead, be neat, oops, watch your eyes, yuck, protect yourself from shocks, keep it clean. Click each tab to know more. Think ahead. While doing an investigation, first we need to study the steps. Make sure that you know all the safety symbols that are shown in the lab. Be neat. While doing an experiment, we need to keep our work area clean and neat. If you have long hair, pull it back so that it doesn't get in the way or do not disturb you. If you have long sleeves, roll or push them up to keep them away from your experiment. Oops! While performing an experiment, if anything breaks unexpectedly or if there is any cut on your body, then inform your teacher immediately. Watch your eyes. While doing an experiment, wear safety goggles. Suppose, if anything falls in your eyes while performing experiment, inform your teacher immediately. Yuck! While performing an experiment in science labs, never eat or drink anything unless your teacher says. Protect yourself from shocks. While doing an experiment, be careful with the electrical appliances. Make sure that the electrical cords are placed in a safer place where you cannot trip over them. Don't overpull a plug out of an outlet by pulling on the cord. Keep it clean. Always clean your experimental apparatus after completing the experiment. Keep your work area clean. Wash your hands clean and neat. Now, let us learn about the secret of inventions and discoveries. The secret of inventions and discoveries lie in identifying the problem. For example, the Earth started revolving around the Sun even before the discovery of heliocentric theory by Copernicus. In the similar way, the objects used to fall down on the Earth even before Newton's investigation. The idea behind these investigations is that these people thought beyond the common man in identifying the problems. Everyone knows that necessity is the mother of invention. This implies that a need or problem encourages creative efforts in order to solve the problem. For example, when people needed a transport to move fast from one place to another place, they discovered vehicles. In the same way, when people thought to travel faster, they invented supersonic jet planes and even spacecrafts. There is a sequential process in discovering things. For example, you might have observed how your mother cooks food, how the cycle mechanic repairs the cycle, how farmers plow their fields. All these processes take place in a systematic order. Generally, we get questions in our brain like, how birds and ants find their way home? How do trees shed their leaves in a particular season? Why ants follow one another in a line? Why cannot we see stars during daytime? In this way, many more questions will arise in our brain. To answer these questions, we need to follow a sequential order. Following are the steps to be followed to find the answers. Identifying problem, making hypothesis, collecting information, data analysis, experimentation, result analysis, generalization. Click each tab to know more. Identifying problem. Identify some of the problems from your surroundings. Example, fan is not rotating. Making hypothesis. List out different solutions to the problem. Example, blades problem, motor problem, fuse failure, wire problem, switch problem, regulator problem. Collecting information. In order to solve the identified problem, collect materials, apparatus, and information required. Example, collect materials like screwdriver, switch and regulator, tester, insulation tape, wire, soldering iron, fuse. Data analysis. Arrange the collected data or information to conduct an experiment. Experimentation. To verify the selected hypothesis, conduct an experiment. Example, observe the wire connections in the fan. Result analysis. Analyze the results to find out solution for the problem. If your hypothesis is correct, then that is the solution. If your hypothesis is wrong, then select another hypothesis to prove. Generalization. Based on the experiment and results, demonstrate the solution for the problem. Example, as the internal wires of the fan are cut, the fan is not rotating. Hence, we need to replace the wires of the fan. This is the way to find the solutions to the problems in a scientific method. Follow-up work. Take up the following activities. Observe the images shown on the screen and mention types of ecosystems. Why pickles do not spoil but sambar gets spoiled? From the given forest ecosystem, list the living things and non-living things. Observe the images shown on the screen and identify the animals. Find out where these animals can be found. Why do leaves fall from a tree when they turn yellow? You have successfully completed the chapter, What is Science?